Hi, everyone. Welcome to Good Enough Today, the podcast where we share stories from people who are showing up authentically, even when life gets tough. I'm your host, Cheremma Lee, and I like to say Happy New Year. I'm so excited to share with you the new guests and interviews we have for Good Enough Today for 2026. But I have to admit, we're still in the lab. We're trying to make things right and ready to go for 2026. So I'll ask that you guys just bear with me while I work on living up to the Good Enough name and accepting that sometimes it's progress over perfection, and slow and steady does win the race. So while some people are preparing for a new year and a new me, I'm working on improving and progressing through this year and making myself better. And I hope you are too. And I'd like for you guys to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube and see what's going on behind the scenes with Good Enough Today. I'd also like to remind you that even when life gets tough and things are looking bleak, you can stay hopeful for tomorrow and remember that you're good enough today.
Hope for tomorrow, good enough today. Oh yeah, hope for tomorrow, good enough today.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Good Enough Today, the podcast where we share stories of people showing up authentically, even when life gets tough. I'm your host, Cheremma Lee, and today my guest is a community activist, a woman, a mother, a daughter, a sister, an attorney, and an overall amazing person. Please welcome to the show, Amber Hamilton Gregg.
Thank you. Thank you.
I love Amber's energy, and I must say that I am super impressed by Amber. I've known her for a long time, but I love how she also just shows up as herself wherever she is. So if you didn't know that I'm one of your biggest fans. Now, Amber, you're going to get on the hot seat. And of course, the first question is, how are you doing today, physically, emotionally, and mentally on a scale from 1 to 10?
I would say I'm at an 8.
For each one?
For each one.
For each one?
Yeah.
Man, I see, now you're going to make me sound like I'm a depressed person because the feedback that I got was that I needed to share my PEMs as well. So I would say physically, I'm probably a 5. Emotionally, 8 is hard to get to. 6, I would say 6. I would go with 6 mentally as well. So okay. I'm working towards you. You got these 8s going. I feel, man, did I say that you're a mother and you're working at 8?
Yeah.
How is that working out? How are you keeping up with all of that?
I don't keep up. So that's the thing. Like, you're never going to be caught up. You're never going to be ahead of things at the point that I am in life. So I literally just take things day by day. I have conversations with my husband and my parents who help out with my children, basically my village. And we talk every day about what our day looks like and what we need help with. And I have to be honest with myself about what I need help with.
See, you started off. I'm supposed to start off with a different question, and now you got me going somewhere else, Amber. So, how did you learn, or did you already know, like when you became a mom and you're working, you're doing all these things? How did you get to a space where you're okay with just, okay, let me figure this out, and then taking that step to ask for help too?
Well, I'm going to tell you this. It's honestly, I always said to myself, my mother did a great job raising me. She's going to help raise my grandchildren. I don't know what she's going to have to do to figure it out with her career, but she's going to help raise my grandchildren. And literally, I manifested that, and they came to be. And my mother and my father, who are both retired now, they're still in good years of their life, still able-bodied. They literally help with my children almost every single day. I'm talking about pickups, helping get projects done, dinner, because I do have a career that's demanding. My husband has a career where we're both full-time, and sometimes I'm having to do things after hours, in my career. And my parents being in the same town as me, and we purposely live closer to them so that we could stay within a good driving distance with them. That is honestly the key to how I have been able to do all of these things. But I knew early on, before I had children, my mama's going to help me. That's the only way I'm going to have children is if my mama helps me.
Thank you to your mom. It's so interesting because there are people who don't recognize that their village is such a blessing, right? And I'm glad that you recognize that your mom and your parents generally are a village, because that's something that makes it, I don't know if it makes it easier though to ask for help. Do you think that sometimes, since you do get so much from your parents, if you need something extra, like,
oh man, that might be too much. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, so I'm trying to be mindful. Now, what I do is, obviously, my husband and I work it out within ourselves. You know, is this something after hours, some on the weekends? Okay, are you going to be home, husband? Devin is his name. Are you going to be home, Devin? Can you manage this for 2 or 3 hours until I get home? Are we running into lunchtime, dinner time, nap time? Like, what are we looking for? Now, if it's something where both of us are not going to be available for some reason, then I will on the weekend, you know, text my mom or dad as soon as possible, and we'll talk about, are you available? Because I have to be mindful of my parents and their quiet time and their marriage and them having some me time after helping with my kids a lot of time during the week. So it's a combination of both, of where I say, no, I don't want to, you know, ask too much of them because they helped out so much maybe on this day or that day. And sometimes it's like, nope, they're just going to have to help because me and my husband both have to be at this one event, or both of us have to go into, you know, another town for, you know, a family type shindig going on, and I need y'all to please help watch them. And even if you're somewhere, take them with you.
Take them with you.
Just take them with you.
You love them, right?
Right.
That's awesome. How long have you and Devin been married?
We have been married for 12 years.
Okay.
Going on 13 years.
Oh, awesome. Now, what you mentioned was a lot of communication between the two of you. Did you grow into that communication style, or have you guys always just been really good at communicating?
We have always been good at communicating. We met in college, and we literally started our relationship talking on the phone for hours because he was still in College Station at the time. I was doing an internship in Dallas at the time we started dating. And so we were somewhat long distance. I mean, a driving distance away, I could get on the bus, which I did a few times, but still not, I can come 10 minutes, you know, I'll meet you at a restaurant or a coffee shop, right? So we had literally established communication early on, where we called each other in our downtime, or we made time, you know, when I was done with my internship, and we would stay on the phone for 2 or 3 hours talking about just funny things, music we liked, movies we liked, other interests. So we make it a point to, when the kids are asleep now, to try to meet back up in our living room, or sometimes I even, you know, just call him on the phone if he's in another room and I'm still in one room trying to make sure the kids stay asleep, and we'll just talk on the phone. Or we talk at lunchtime, things like that. There's a
concerted effort to actually make sure that you're still communicating. That's great. I'm going to go back because I'll forget, and I need to ask you, what's bringing you joy right now?
That's a good one. I feel like sometimes just having seasons of quietness. So we're in a different season now. We just enter fall. And I love that I feel a change with the different seasons as well, because it's a reminder for me, whatever wasn't working for you in the summer, and like when the seasons change with the fall, you know, leaves will change their colors, and some leaves will fall onto the ground because it's making room for new things to come in. You're blossoming and blooming into something else eventually in the spring, right? So different seasons bring different things, but the fall is a reminder for me to just sometimes enjoy the quietness. So time to yourself. I've done a lot of that. I feel like entering into this season of where I have booked spa days, or I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to a good steakhouse, you know, for lunch and meet up with a colleague that I've been wanting to see for a while. I make time to do things for myself because I'm always juggling the kids, my husband. What do I need to do for work? What do I need to do after work with, you know, different organizations that I'm on boards for? And there are times where I'm like, no, I can't make it this week. This is going to be a week of me just doing things with my family, doing things with my kids, my husband, or doing something for myself.
Oh man, you just opened up a big door. Sorry for you. But do you ever feel guilty about taking time for yourself and doing what you need in that moment?
Not at all. Not at all. I don't, because if I'm not good, how can I possibly pour anything into anybody else if I have not poured into myself?
I had a feeling you would answer that question that way. But the real question is that something that you've always done, or did you grow into that?
I feel like it's something that your body tells you have to do. So even if you don't realize you're not doing it, I've gotten to the point as I've aged, right, and I've matured, that my body will literally tell me, no, you're going to actually lay down today. You're not going anywhere. My body will tell me when it's tired. It'll show signs to me of when my vitamin D is low, for example, or there are times I need to sit and meditate because I feel like my oxygen levels aren't where they need to be. So my muscles start feeling type of way. My body tells me when it's getting into stress mode.
And how do you know exactly what you need? I know you said, you know, your vitamin D will be low, but what if it's like, you know what, I need time with someone else, right? Other than my family, I need to get out. What are the signs that you feel or you see where you're like, you know what, this is what I need? Because I think what happens for a lot of us is that we're going, and then we feel out of sorts, but we don't necessarily know what we need to get back into the space where we're at our optimal self.
It's just when you start missing that person. Like if I see on social media someone posting and it makes me feel like I feel disconnected to them. I'm like, well, why do I feel disconnected to them? Even though I'm seeing their social media page, I could just easily say hi, but obviously that's a person I care about and I feel disconnected to you for a reason. I need to explore, why do I feel that way? Maybe it's me needing to reach out to you and we schedule a time to go for coffee, a time to go get some, even just getting some ice cream and bringing my daughter along, because my daughter will miss some of her quote unquote aunties or things like that, people that are not, you know, family, right? And so I think it's so important to stay connected to your circle of girlfriends. I think it's important to even go to collegial events where there's other like-minded people, some similarly situated, some not, right? I think it's so important that you continue to do things like that because you do need to be around other people than just your family.
Absolutely. It's so interesting because I am the exact opposite, right? I try to stay away from as many people as possible because I'm more of an introvert, right? And because I'm an introvert, I sometimes discount the importance of the community, right? But then it'll be like, I kind of want to connect, but I want to connect for 10 minutes and then I want you to leave me alone forever, right? But so I guess for people, how did you start to understand? Are you extroverted? Have you always been like, you know what, this person I need to connect with? Because I might think I need to connect, but then I'll be like, you know what? No, Cheremma of tomorrow won't want to go. So.
No, let me tell you this, and I'm being completely honest. There are times where, yes, I say yes to things. And then I get to having to, now it's time to do my makeup, do my hair. And I'm like, I just want to binge watch, sit here and binge watch something in bed. I don't want to go to this. But what I do now is I'm very mindful, intentional of what I say yes to. That's the difference, because now I'm in a space where I'm wiser, I'm more mature, I have a family. And so if I'm going to be away from my family and away from my husband, it needs to be for a purpose that is very intentional and aligned with, you know, what God has in store for me. So if it's not something that is aligned with that relationship I have with God, or a purpose of creating some type of impact, then I'm not going to do it anymore. I used to be in a space, especially when I first started my career, you feel like you have to meet these people and you have to become this person. And, you know, you have to be so many things. And, you know, once you find your way through your journey and navigate through your own journey of your becoming whoever God has meant for you to be, then you no longer do those things. You no longer say yes to things that don't align with your purpose.
Okay, so see, this is something that comes up in a lot of my interviews, is people saying something that aligns with your purpose. But I would think of us 15 years ago or something, right? Do you think that you knew what your purpose was then? And then if not, how did you find it? And if so, how did you know what you should go toward? What feeling did you get with that?
15 years ago, I knew I was going to be an attorney because God put it on my heart literally in middle school that I was going to be an attorney. I applied to a law magnet high school when I was literally 12 years old, going on to be 13. And that was what God guided me and telling me, this is what magnet high school you're going to go to. And so going through college and then going through law school, I knew like I was going to be an attorney, right? What type of attorney, that was changing for me, all up in the air, what exactly field I was going to be in. It was me basically receiving a lot of no's and a lot of closed doors that got me to where I am today. So yes, prayer to God and speaking to God, right? But also a lot of heartbreak.
Yeah.
A lot of closed doors are what guides you to where you're supposed to be, right? He'll open the door that he has for you because that's where he wants you to be. And of course, it's hurtful. You feel rejected. A lot of times you feel like you're not good enough. A lot of times you sometimes feel like an imposter.
Right. Oh man, see, yeah. Okay, Amber. All right, you want to do it? Let's do it. So, yeah, okay. So early on in your career, you're feeling like you have to be something different, right? You have to, and I am guilty of this too. And as you start to navigate a little bit more, but when you talk about failure, right? Because I always talk about getting stuck in the suck. I'm going to trademark that, I think, at some point, right? And so if you get stuck in the suck, right, you might not keep moving. When you felt that rejection, or you felt like an imposter, or you felt like, you know what, maybe I am not good enough, how did you keep from getting stuck in that suck, and what did you do to continue to move forward?
You know, God has always blessed me into not being stuck in the rut. Is that how you say it?
Stuck in the suck.
Stuck in the suck. Stuck in the suck for that long. I remember this one internship ending, and I thought it was going to lead to a future path and this and that at that place, and it didn't. It was like the internship ended and there was no future path. And I remember just feeling very sad and feeling a feeling of rejection, like, well, why didn't I get offered this position to keep going forward? But what I didn't know, and I couldn't have known, is what God was orchestrating, right, behind the scenes. Because had I not got that rejection, it wouldn't have led to me literally just a week or two later getting a call that, hey, I have an opening at this law firm and I need somebody ASAP because someone's going on maternity leave. And had I obviously started or continued forward with that other internship, it wouldn't have led me to that. And it's hard when you get into those places to see the light, right? Because you have to trust, and it's just through your faith. You have to trust that God is going to bring you out. You don't know the day, you don't know the time when the light will shine. But what I do now is I look back on all the times, even through high school times, where I felt low, where I felt sad, or someone hurt me, or I felt disappointed. And I remember that I was okay, that God brought me out. So now I'm a living testimony in my own way to anybody. And I remind myself, you need to remember where you came from, sis. Look what God brought you through. And he's going to always do that because he's here for you. He's merciful. He's good. You have grace, you have favor, and he's never going to keep you there too long. Yeah. And sometimes we have to go through things so we can grow. Yeah. So I had to learn that too.
Oh my gosh. I think I usually learn that the hard way, right? Like there's no, I would like to be able to like skip the process. Like, God, I promise, just let me know and I'll be okay over here. Just get me over there and then we can, but it doesn't really work like that, right? And especially when you're younger, I think that you take things so personally, right? And sometimes we can't, well, I don't think we can ever see the vision that God has, right? And I think that is something that leads to us now, right? After a while, you can start to look back and be like, you know what? I'm okay. Even though I know that when you're in the storm, it doesn't feel that way.
Right, absolutely.
Now, we talk about showing up authentically. And one thing that I didn't mention, I actually don't think that I mentioned that you were a wife. Sorry, Devin. No, for sure that I did not mean to exclude you. But I didn't also mention how you are so invested in empowering other people. Mm-hmm. And I wonder, where does that come from? Why is that important to you?
It comes from, honestly, sometimes not always feeling like I had someone in certain spaces that was advocating for me. Mm-hmm. There have been times, even throughout law school, where I felt that I wasn't always welcomed, or I didn't always feel like I fit in, or I didn't feel like somebody was taking me under their wing to show me things, but I was seeing it with others. And so, like you said, it's hard because you don't want to take everything personally, but at the same time, you also don't want to discount your own feelings.
Absolutely.
Right? Your feelings are valid. And other people might feel the way you do. And so that's what I've learned as I've grown into my career, especially with reaching out to other students and younger individuals, is that they do feel the same way in different spaces. And I feel like I want to be the person that I needed when I was in their space, because I know how it feels to not have a person to show you the ropes, to guide you. You shouldn't have to go through certain things when we have enough of a community here to make sure that we guide you. Right. So you don't have the same hardships we had. And so I feel like that is part of my purpose, is to make sure that some of the younger individuals coming up in the same spaces I navigated, that they don't have to go through the same things I did.
I think that that's really cool because, I feel like there's not a balance, right? You either have people who don't want to give anything back, or you have people who want to give it as much as possible, right? And then those people have to work on not giving too much of themselves, so that, like you said before, you can have some self-care and things like that. It's so interesting to hear you say that you felt like you didn't belong, and you felt like you didn't, because every time I saw you, you were like Amber, right? You know what I mean? Like, you had it going. And the thing that I admire about you was that you would show up as yourself, right? It didn't matter. You would have your heels on. I'd be like, how's she gonna walk in those? Like, where we going? And that would just be you, right? And you would be unapologetic about that. And even to this day, I'll be like, there go Amber. And I would appreciate that about you, because as you're saying, you wouldn't fit in. I would be like, if I could just have enough to be like, this just gonna be me. I think as you get older, you get that, right? But where did that come from, where even if you didn't feel comfortable, right, you were gonna show up as yourself and people were gonna take it or they gonna leave it?
I think it started for me after college, where I felt that, you know what, I'm in this legal space, and there's not a lot of us. So I'm half Hispanic, half Black. So with either ethnicity, there's not a big percentage of us. I think it's still only like 5 to 6% or even less of African-American attorneys in the state of Texas, right? And so I can't expect to feel comfortable walking into a room because I'm looking for someone that looks like me. I'm going to be disappointed more than half the time.
Yes.
And so I had to learn to be comfortable with my braids, be comfortable being tall, like over 6 feet with heels on, be comfortable with my pearls on and my bigger accessories and my big personality, walking into a room and just owning it. And, that's who God made me. And honestly, trying to fit a certain mold, it just don't work for you. It didn't work for me, because the way I'm speaking or the way I'm walking or the way you're talking, I just can't be like you. I have to be me. And so I have become successful in the courtroom, outside of the courtroom, in boardrooms and meeting rooms by just being myself.
So how do you navigate when people say that you're too much? What do you say to those people? Well, let me say this. What do you say now, and what did you say back then? Because I feel like they might be different.
I had been told before that people have said, oh, she's too much. She has too much personality, or she dresses this way, or she thinks she this, she thinks she's that. And I've heard that literally since I was in high school. I have heard that at every stage of my life. And what I learned as I've gotten older is that you do not dictate who I am. I am whoever God created me to be. I'm the daughter of the Most High, first of all. And so I have learned that I am unapologetically, like you said, Amber, and that I'm going to be that till the day that I die. And so I know that no matter where I go, I'm going to have this light, and I'm going to bring the light, and I'm going to share the light. And either you're going to get with that or you're not. And you can move around if you don't like it. there's nothing I can do about it, and there's nothing I want to do about it. So I've learned now that the people that gravitate towards the light that I bring are my people. And I think we all have to learn that is you're not going to get along with everybody.
Yes.
It's how many billions of people on this planet. You're not going to get along with everybody. Everybody doesn't look the same. We don't dress the same. We don't act the same. We don't behave the same. We're not meant to. We're meant to be our own individual selves, and we're meant to connect with who we're meant to connect with. And so once I learned that I don't need everybody to like me to validate who I am, then it was free game for me. I was like, the world is mine. I can reach and do whatever I want because I am comfortable in my own skin and I'm comfortable with who I am and what I bring to the table.
Now, how would you tell someone else to become comfortable in their own space with who they are? Because I think that, of course, I know with age it comes because I think we just stop caring as much, right? Because life is happening too much and it's just like, you know what? This is what you get. But when you're younger, I feel like that, especially as you're trying to become established, right? You feel that pressure to be like, okay, people need to like me. But some people you can just walk in, like you said, you're light, and they're like, no, I'm not, this is not it. And you might just not like the person. It doesn't have to be a reason. But if you were, or what do you tell the people that you're mentoring? Like, hey, I understand where you are, but what kind of perspective can you give them on that?
Well, I tell people to start off, always be kind. So no matter what anybody's doing to you or saying to you or how they're making you feel, whether it's passive aggressive or not, always be kind, but set boundaries. So you never God didn't mean for us to be belittled or disrespected, right? Or to tolerate toxic circumstances. I know that in our generation, we don't put up with that. We will leave, okay?
Absolutely.
We'll be like, oh, this is a toxic environment?
Yes,
I'm gone.
Bye.
And we do that for our mental health and for our physical health and emotional health. A lot of things that are now we're being educated about, being brought to the forefront as things that we need to take care of. Because if not, it leads to certain diseases and other mental health conditions. Because before our generation, they were kind of taught to just stay and, be a dedicated, loyal person to this toxic relationship or toxic situation. And so I start with, let's try to be kind. If it doesn't get better, this is not the space for you. That's not the person for you. That's not the environment for you. And you need to move around and be somewhere where you are valued.
Yes. Oh, okay. So that, I feel like that's easier said than done, Amber. Like, how have you navigated? Because sometimes you want to be in that space so badly, and that's not the space for you. Have you been in that situation? And then if so, how do you navigate, like, okay, the disappointment that comes with not being in a space that you wanted, but also understanding that it's best for you? And I think that goes back to you prioritizing yourself over other things.
Yes. So what we have in mind for us might not be what God has in mind for us, right? And so, yes, there have been different situations where I have been in different settings and I'm like, this is what my plan is. Yeah. I'm going to come here and this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to learn. I'm going to rise to this position or that position. And that didn't happen. It was like, oh, it's been 6 months. Oh, it's been a year. And this is not what I thought it was going to be, right? And so in those situations, you have to be honest with yourself first and say, self, you tried it. You tried, and there's nothing wrong with that. Take what you've learned, apply it to the next position that you're going to be in. So I think that's key is that wherever our stop is at the moment in our journey in life, learn from that stop. Because that's not your last stop. Eventually, God reveals to you, I have something else in store for you. But what did you learn? He had you there for a reason, whether it was to meet other people, whether it was to learn a skill set and move on to something else. Maybe it was for you to create impact in that certain stop for some reason. But now he wants you to create impact for another stop. That's what we have to realize as we move forward in the journey of life.
So, you are a very faithful person. I say I'm a faithful person too, but I'll be lying because let me tell you, the journey of walking in that faith, right, is difficult for me because I'm stubborn. I'm like, God, are you sure? Because maybe you wanted to, let me help you, God, right? And so for you, how do you just remain faithful and say, you know what, I'm going to have faith and keep on moving? And are there times where you're like, this is tough? And what do you say to yourself to keep it going in that way?
I don't have this capacity in me to not be faithful. I have children that I have to pray over every day. I have a husband I have to pray over. I have a wonderful village that I have to pray over. And I don't have time not to be a faithful person. God has been too good to me for me not to be faithful to him. And so, of course, there'll be times where I think about it and I'm like, did I actually pray today? Did I open like a devotional today? Or when's the last time I've opened the Bible? There have been times where I've caught myself and I'm like, when's the last time you've read a scripture? And it's in those moments that sometimes I can feel guilty. I know we talked about feeling guilty earlier. I have felt guilty. I'm like, well, if I can take my butt to a happy hour or mixer, I can surely take my butt to church on Sunday. If I can get up and get dressed and put forth effort into going to this gala, I can get my butt up for church on Sunday and put on some makeup and actually put on some nice clothes, right? So I say that to say that God has brought me too far to where I won't ever dare disrespect him by not talking to him, recognizing him, and praising his name.
Oh, that's amazing. So one thing you just mentioned is that you recognize the favor, right? You recognize the favor, and that leads you to continue to keep going. What I've been trying to find as I talk to people is, what is the thing, right? Because your life, somebody could have gone through everything that you've gone through in life and have a completely different trajectory, right? And so I've been trying to figure out, for the people who are in the suck, right? Like, what is the thing? And because I can tell you, well, pray about it, right? And I know that sometimes praying about it is very lonely, right? You feel alone and you're moving through that. If you can, how do you think that you navigated the hard times? So let's think about when it was hard. And one of the questions will be, what's the most difficult thing you've had to go through? And then how did you navigate that? So maybe I'll ask you that. What's the most difficult thing that you've been through, and how did you navigate that and remain in that same kind of space of, you know what, I have to have faith in this because God's been so good?
I think all of us can think about some hard moments where we felt very low, right? I will say that my most recent one that I can think of is I was in a space earlier this year where my character was being assassinated. And instead of me spewing venom back out or doing anything to respond to negativity, I had to pray about it. But I leaned on my husband, I leaned on my close village to help me get through a space like that. And I feel like a lot of people don't realize the favor doesn't come in forms of just wealth. So it's not money or clothes or cars, all of those tangible things that don't matter when you get to heaven, right? To eternity. What I'm talking about is character, integrity, people that God has put into places to help you get through things that you're going to be going through in life. That's favor to me. Favor in the form of love, people that hold your hand, people that pray with you. That's the kind of favor that's intangible that I value more than the salary, the big house, the fancy cars. I don't care about any of that stuff. I care about who is standing next to me.
How do you find those people? How do you discern that this person is really for me and this person is really not for me? And I know that sometimes it's obvious and sometimes it's not. How have you used that, and how have you been able to discern who's for you?
Time will tell, but a lot of the times it's by growing through things together. And what I mean by that is I have seen even my own experience, but even through others that I know, that a lot of the change in your circle, as you could call it, comes with successes or lifestyle change. So when people get engaged, when people get married, when people have babies, when people get promotions, when people get a new house, that can cause a lot of rift.
Mm-hmm.
And what I have seen and what I have experienced is that some people are uncomfortable with change in general,
Mm-hmm.
even though it's not necessarily affecting them directly. And some people are afraid of who you're becoming.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, some people are not comfortable with who they are, and they're afraid of who you're becoming. And so then it becomes a rift.
And they can't handle that energy, right?
Right.
And I think that goes back to being okay with some people just have to, the relationships change and you move forward. And I think that's kind of difficult for most people. We haven't talked much about you being a mom, right? And I know you have 2 children. I'm not a mom, so I like to bring that, though, the energy into the podcast, because I know that a lot of people who listen are parents, right? And one of the questions, I guess, one, what is the best thing about motherhood for you? And then what's the most difficult thing to navigate for you?
The best part of motherhood is just seeing this little miracle from God that love brought together, that looks like you sometimes and looks like your husband sometimes, look like their grandparents sometimes, right? You see just several generations of, just seeing them, that in their face and their personalities even. It's just little miracles, right? That every day I carried in my womb. And so sometimes I'm just astonished by God's creation, right? And then the hardest part is sometimes when you have to discipline those kids, when you have to be hard on them and you have boundaries with them, and you have to also, I feel like there's a push and pull of what you learned from your own childhood, right? And things that you want to bring into your own parenting of your child, and things you don't want to. So I think that can be the hardest part, is this child has a different personality, each one. And it's like, so what are the parenting techniques or tips or tricks that I actually want to utilize, and which ones do I don't want to utilize?
Right.
So I think that's the harder part, is navigating exactly how to parent in difficult situations. And each age is just different.
I saw something, probably on social media, because that's probably where I get this information from. So take it with a grain of salt. But I saw something about how no child grows up in the same household, right? So it can be your sibling, but you didn't grow up with the same parents. You didn't grow up with the same experiences, even if you did, even if you were at the same place, right? Because their personalities are different. I might be able to, my mom can say something to me that she might not be able to say the same way to my sister, because she might be more sensitive, right? And so how do you navigate that with the different personalities of your children without making one feel like, oh, you favor this person? But I think kids always feel that way anyway. So
I think you just have to give yourself grace as a parent. That's honestly what it comes down to. There's no perfect way of doing things. There's no right. There's no wrong. And this might work today, and then it don't work tomorrow, and I have to show you, business in a different way, right? And so, yes, every child is different, and every circumstance is different. So you literally have to just tackle it day by day and give yourself grace that, I tell people I don't live with regrets, because I do my best with the information I have at the time on that day, right? I don't have a magic 8-ball to ask, how do I handle this situation? I do the best that I can with the information I have at the time. And I just give myself grace, because I haven't been a parent before, my first child. And so these are our kids, and you lead with love, you lead with grace. And if there's ever a point where I feel like love wasn't involved in that discipline, or, me addressing a situation, that's where I need to step back. Because now, am I upset? Am I angry? Am I trying to hurt? What is the goal here? I need to make sure I'm always leading with love.
Right. No, I think that's interesting, because when you see adults who have different issues, I think a lot of it is because it didn't come from a place of love. And that's one of the things that I'm trying to change as well, because sometimes, your intention might be different, but it can be expressed in a way that is not what you intended it to be. So I think that's really, really good that you're leading with love with your children. I also think it's so crazy, because I knew you before you were a mom, right? And so it's like, Amber has kids. This is so interesting. But one of the things that you've talked about throughout this is giving yourself grace and being okay with not necessarily being perfect. How have you learned to be more great, give yourself more grace?
I've learned by not being able to do everything, simply. I mean, I don't know how many times I know we as moms, especially growing up in this economy and this troublesome world we're living in, where we have to say, I'm not going to be able to make dinner today. So are we going to Cece's or are we going to Wendy's today? Which one is it? Because I'm not going to be able to cook. I have to finish a project, or we have to take the kids to basketball or dance today, and I just won't be able to cook. So it's just a lot of you being honest with yourself, that there's this misconception that you're a superwoman. Like some people say, you're a superwoman, you're everywhere, you do everything. I'm not superwoman. I have a super village. It's different. I have I wouldn't be able to do half the things that I do outside of my family obligations if it wasn't for the village I have to help me. And so I am thankful for that village, that they have allowed me to, and they've seen the value in me pouring into other things outside of my house. Because I know my husband has told me before, when he meets people in the community and just law school students that I've mentored and given scholarships out to, and when he gets to meet them coming to events with me, he says, how could I ever have an issue with you doing this? Look at the impact you've created. Look at the legacy. Like, look at the change you're making. You're a difference maker. And so for me, that makes all the difference, that I'm showing my son. I now take my son to legal events with me because he thinks he wants to be an attorney or a judge one day. And so I'm showing him what's possible. And I'm showing, just through my life, I'm showing my kids, you don't have to limit yourself to a certain title. I'm not just a wife. I'm not just a mom. I feel like God created me to be more than just that. And there's nothing wrong with being a wife. There's nothing wrong with just being a mom, if that's what you feel like you were created to be and where your purpose is at that time. But that's not what my purpose is. My purpose is to be all the things.
Absolutely. And I think that some people get hung up in the, like, you have to give and take, but there's going to be sacrifice with whatever you choose, right? Even being a wife and a mom, right? There's going to be sacrifice somewhere in that as well. One thing that I didn't touch on is how you got to law school, because I feel like people hear that you go to law school and they feel like that you were wealthy, right? Like your parents must have had some money and that's how you got to law school, right? So talk a little bit about how you ended up in law school and your journey from there, because I think it's important for people to understand that it's not easy. Like we all have a journey to get into there, and then I think we have ways, right, to make it work. So how did you make that work?
That's a good question. So when I went to Law Magnet High School, I knew that I wanted to go to college, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to major in political science, which is what most people equate to like the most type of legal degree you can get. It was between the University of Texas, SMU, Southern Methodist University, and Texas A&M, where I was going to eventually go. I graduated in the top 4 of my class. And so I got into all of those schools. And then at that point, it came down to major and whether you were going to give me scholarship funds or not. My parents were both educators, very hard workers, but I had a sister that was literally a year ahead of me that was in college at the time. So there wasn't just I didn't have a trust fund. I didn't have an educational fund for me to just have at my access, to use at my leisure. And so I knew that I needed to get scholarships. So my junior year and my senior year, I was going into the office because there was no internet, at the time, just Google scholarships for juniors and seniors.
Much older, but yeah.
Now so much simpler. But I had to go to the lobby of my high school and look to see in this bookshelf area, what flyers do they have or packets do they have this week for scholarships. And so I would do that. And luckily I did have some friends that were really competitive and really cared about their rankings and, scholarships and things of that nature. So you naturally have an inclination to do that too. Yeah. And so I long story short, my scholarships came in and my major of choices came in, and A&M gave me my major of choice to business, which I chose the business route because there were business law courses and like the political environment of business that you could take your junior year and senior year, which I felt, and they had attorneys that would be your professors. And I felt that was more interesting for me and a more safe degree if I didn't go to law school, that generally business is widely, used for anything else you want to do. And so when I was at A&M as a business major, I did an internship program called Inroads, and it was for minority internships in the local Dallas area, but they have nationwide internships. And I looked up to intern with a very big Fortune 500 insurance company. I was there for 2 summers, 2 winters, learned a lot. And what I learned the most is that, okay, it's a nice, very rewarding career to be an adjuster, but I remember specifically intentionally asking to go out with the attorneys in the legal department there. And I said, this is what I need to be doing. And I also saw how much of a difference was and how much they made and your lifestyle and your freedom. They would go out of the office. They didn't just sit. There's nothing wrong with sitting at a cubicle, but they didn't have to sit at cubicles. They had offices and went out and did different things. And I said, that's what I want to do. And so it was still reinforced in me because it was already implanted in my heart to do that. But it was reinforced that this is what you're going to do. And so after graduating, I had applied to different law schools in Texas and ultimately chose Texas Wesleyan School of Law, which is now A&M, because of the scholarships. I received a few scholarships to go there, and it was ultimately the best decision. We met each other. Absolutely. We're friends and doing this show. I met one of my other best friends as a godmother to my children. I'm a godmother to her children, my friend Marche, and we have our own Testify Her group that we have organized and that we do, which uplifts women spiritually. And I'm so glad and I'm so grateful that God led me to Texas Wesleyan. Because, when we went, we didn't really have the biggest alumni support. The school was still making a name for itself. It was still trying to climb the rankings. And we went trusting God, right? Yes. We went trusting God that, this might not be the highest ranked school, but I'm going to get you to where I need to go, and I need you to trust me. Yeah. Right? Because you're committing yourself to 3 years taking the bar. You're committing yourself financially. Because although I had scholarships, I still had to take out some other funding, right? When you're studying for the bar, most people, you don't work. Yeah. You don't work for those months, and you have to trust God and have a plan to get through that and wait on your bar results. So that's how I became a lawyer and decided which law school was honestly just who was going to give me money, because I didn't
That's the way I decided too. That's the way I decided who's giving me the most money. And it's going to be, because I feel like, that's one of the things that you have to, if you don't have somebody paying for it, right? Right. It's how am I going to do this? And not be a burden to the people around me. And also be able to live a life after this. Right. And so I think that it's important. And I feel like most people don't know how we progress through that journey. Right. Because you just see the end result and you're like, oh, but there was some hard work to get through it and figure out. And I will say this, I didn't put this in there. I took an LSAT prep course when I was at A&M. At the time, it wasn't Kaplan. I think it was Princeton Review. I don't know if they're still around, but the summer going from my junior year to my senior year in college, I saved the money from my internship, because that course was not cheap. That is not cheap. It was not cheap, and I paid for that. And also my sorority sisters. I had mentors, and I had I'm in Alpha Kappa Alpha, sorority incorporated. I pledged at Texas A&M, and I had some big sisters that had gone through the law school process before me. One even went to Harvard. Oh, okay. One was at Harvard Law. One was at
She had a big tuition bill.
Wait. And I looked up to her so much. I still do. We're still great friends. And I have another big sister, still great friends, that went to UT Law. And they helped me because I was a first generation law school student, attorney in my family. So
I had to learn what the process was, what is the timeline, what does this look like, and they helped me with my journey. And those two girls are more than half of the reason of why I ended up where I ended up, because of their guidance.
That's actually one of the things that, with Good Enough Today, the goal is to help people understand that no matter where we are in our journey, we all go through things. And we are just trying to do the best that we can today. And sometimes it's not great and sometimes it is, but you want to keep putting one foot in front of the other and moving forward. And I think that sometimes we see people and we think that everything's just so refined with them and they have all these things, but you don't understand that we're all going through the same kind of things. It might look different, but the process is still the same. And we're trying to create that community where people can say, you know what? All right, I deserve to be here. And we want you to be here and to keep going, because your grace can be on the other side. Your miracle can be on the other side of the storm. And if you stop now, you're doing yourself a disservice. So I do appreciate you being here. But I also I don't want to forget to talk about Testify Her.
Yes.
Because I know that you have that. I want you to be able to put a plug in for that and all the amazing things that you're doing. So how can people be involved? How can they donate? What can they do for you?
So Testify Hers, we are actually going to be coming up with some new workshops this coming year for the holidays. We had to put it on pause for a little bit because my co-organizer, co-host, co-partner in that, Marsha Ewu, she had her fourth child. So she had twins. And she's an attorney. So she has a 13-year-old, she has twins that turned 2 this year, and then she had a miracle 4 child.
God bless you, Marsha.
So her hands were full, and we talked about it. We said, okay, we're gonna just give this a break for now, and then when you feel ready, when you feel ready, let's do this. So this winter, going into spring, we're going to be having some new events. We have done vision boarding. We have done things, whether it's crafting or serving in community, that are with a purpose. A lot of things that we do are to uplift each other. A lot of us are young professional women just trying to navigate just life circumstances by having encouraging, prayerful type events. And so we do have an Instagram, we do have a YouTube, and we're under Testify Hers with the HERS. And we came up with that because we're both attorneys, and she is a plaintiff litigation attorney. I'm defense litigation attorney. So even though we are on opposite sides, what we have to do is present witnesses in a courtroom to testify. And so when we also think about, when we're using the word testify, it's in the spiritual realm. And when we think about how we tell people about the goodness of God, it's by testifying. And so we love that we did Testify Hers, that has the women aspect to it for our movement. It was perfect.
That's amazing. Yes. And shout out to Marsha.
Yes.
Because she's got a handful going on. But I love that. And I love the fact that you guys are trying to give back in that way and create a community just like we're trying to do here. So I'll be remiss not to put that plug in for you guys.
Thank you.
And last question is the one that we always ask everyone is, what does good enough mean to you?
Good enough means that you know that your value comes from God. It does not come from any external circumstances or what people have to say about you. You are who you are, and you are already worthy when you wake up, because you're a child of God, and because He said that you are who I've called you to be, and you're becoming who I want you to become. And that definition of who you are does not come from anything or anyone else.
That's amazing. See, you see why I love Amber? You see why I love her? No, I think that is a great segue, and for people to understand that they are valuable. And if nobody else is showing you love, we will show you love. And there's kindness in people. And even though you might not be where you want to be right now, you can stay hopeful for tomorrow, but recognize that you're absolutely good enough today.
Hopeful for tomorrow, good enough today. Oh yeah, hopeful for tomorrow, good enough today.